Imagine holding a penny so ordinary looking that most people would spend it without a second thought. Now imagine that same penny being worth over $800,000 today. Somewhere out there, maybe even in a jar on your kitchen counter or in the change you got at the grocery store, could be a coin that changes your life forever. This is not a fairy tale. This is the real story of the 1964 D mint mark. Lincoln 1-cent coin that has collectors in awe and treasure hunters digging through their change. Most people have no idea this coin exists, let alone why it's so valuable. That's exactly why so many of them slip through unnoticed. One lucky finder could be holding a fortune in the palm of their hand without even realizing it. So what makes a simple penny from the mid-60s so special? And how can you tell if the one you have is the jackpot? Stick with me, because the answer might just be sitting in your pocket, right? Now, let's go back to the year 1964. The United States was in the middle of great cultural shifts. The Civil Rights Act had just been signed, and the coinage system was under pressure. At the Denver Mint, millions of Lincoln cents rolled off the presses. To most, they looked identical, but a small fraction carried certain details, striking errors, and die varieties that would later make them priceless to collectors. The mint mark, the letter D, under the date, signified Denver production. While most were perfectly ordinary, some carried subtle imperfections, doubled images, or unusual metal compositions caused by transitional errors. One of the key factors behind the high value of certain 1964 D pennies is the rarity of these flawless or error examples in top mint state condition. A penny in poor shape might still be worth only face value, but in pristine condition with the right features, it can skyrocket in price. Some examples have been graded so perfectly and preserved so flawlessly that they command jaw-dropping prices at auction. Now here's the cliffhanger. There is one particular variety of the 1964 D penny that shocked the numismatic world when it sold for over $800,000. The secret: it looked almost exactly like an ordinary penny to the untrained eye. That means most people who have handled one never knew what they were holding. We will get to exactly what sets it apart in just a moment. Before we do, let's talk identification tips. First, check the date. You're looking for 1964 with a clear D mint mark beneath it. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look closely for signs of doubling on the date or the letters "in Liberty" and "in God We Trust." These doubled die varieties are a major reason for higher values. Then examine the coin's condition. The closer it is to flawless, the higher the potential value. Scratches, wear, or discoloration can drastically lower it. And do not overlook the metal composition. Most 1964 pennies are copper, but a tiny number have been discovered with transitional compositions due to minting errors. Why are these errors so valuable? Simple: scarcity drives demand. Collectors are willing to pay extraordinary prices to own something that almost nobody else has. And because these coins circulated for decades, finding one in pristine condition today is like winning the lottery. Here's another surprising fact. Many of the highest valued 1964 D pennies came from everyday sources like inherited coin jars, flea market finds, or even rolls of pennies purchased from the bank. Imagine buying a roll for 50 cents and pulling out a coin worth more than most houses. It's happened before, and it can happen again. Now to the recent sales that prove this is not just hype. In the past few years, certain top-grade 1964 D pennies have sold at major auctions for tens of thousands, and one exceptional example crossed the $800,000 mark. Experts say the demand for rare coins is only increasing, especially as more collectors enter the market and high-net-worth buyers look for tangible assets with historical significance. They also warn that with every passing year, the odds of finding one in circulation drop. That means if you're sitting on one of these coins without knowing it, time could be running out to cash in at peak value. Picture this. You go through your change tonight, spot a 1964 D penny, and decide to set it aside. A week later, after having it appraised, you discover it's worth enough to pay off your mortgage, buy a new car, and still have money left over. That is the kind of life-changing surprise this coin can deliver. So here's your takeaway. Check your coins, every jar, every drawer, every old wallet. Do it tonight. The coin that could change your financial future might already be in your home. And if you want to learn how to spot more hidden treasures like this, subscribe now, because the next rare coin we uncover might be sitting in your pocket right this moment. They say a penny saved is a penny earned. But what if I told you one single penny could be worth more than most people's houses? In fact, there's a 1971 S mint mark, Lincoln cent out there that has sold for as much as $811,000. And here's the wild part. You might have handled one without even knowing it. Right now, it could be sitting in a jar on your dresser, buried in an old coffee can, or hiding in plain sight inside your wallet. Most people look at a penny and see 1 cent. But the truth is, the right penny can change your life overnight. The reason this coin is so overlooked is simple. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. Copper, brown color, Lincoln's familiar profile, the words "in God We Trust." But that's where the mystery begins. Because only a handful of people in the world can spot the subtle features that turn this humble coin into a treasure worth more than gold. So what makes the 1971 España so special? Let's rewind to the early 1970s. The United States. Mint in San Francisco produced proof coins for collectors. These proof coins were struck using specially prepared dies that created razor-sharp details and a mirror-like finish. But among these proofs, a rare variety slipped through, one with a doubled die obverse. This means that the date and certain letters on the front of the coin were struck twice, slightly off alignment, creating a doubling effect that's visible under magnification. You might be thinking, doubling, that sounds tiny, and it is. But collectors go crazy for this kind of minting error because it's not just a defect, it's a rare accident that the mint can't reproduce. In the case of the 1971 S doubled die, the doubling is most noticeable. On the word liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date 1971 itself, the S mint mark below the date is also a clue, telling you it was made in San Francisco. Here's where it gets interesting. Many of these coins were placed directly into collector-proof sets, sealed away and forgotten for decades. Others somehow escaped into circulation. That means one could very well be mixed in with your loose change or inherited coin collection right now. And because most people don't know what to look for, these rare pennies often go completely unnoticed. Imagine spending a coin like this at a grocery store without realizing you just handed over hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, let's hit pause for a second, because here's the cliffhanger. In 2019, one of these rare proof 1971 S die cents sold for an amount that made even seasoned collectors' jaws drop. I'll tell you the exact figure in a moment, but first you need to know how to identify one in your own home. Start by checking any proof sets from 1971. Proof coins have a mirror-like background with frosted design details, almost like jewelry. Then, under a magnifying glass, examine the date and the word liberty for signs of clear doubling. It won't look blurry. Instead, it will have crisp, separate lines where the strike was doubled. This doubling is the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth a luxury car, a college education, or even a dream retirement. So why is it worth so much? Rarity is only part of it. Demand from collectors drives the price higher, especially when the coin is in pristine condition. The higher the grade from a professional coin grading service, the more the price skyrockets. A flawless specimen with deep cameo contrast, meaning the frosted details stand out sharply against the mirrored background, can command astronomical figures at auction. Which brings us back to that record sale. In 2019, a top-graded 1971 S doubled die-proof penny crossed the auction block and sold for an incredible $811,000. One coin, one penny. Gone to a bidder who understood its true value, while most people would have mistaken it for pocket change. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you tossed pennies into a jar, given them to a cashier without a second thought, or let them disappear into couch cushions? Every day you hold change in your hands. You could be holding life-changing money and not even know it. Experts say that as more collectors learn about this variety, finding one in the wild will become even rarer. That means the clock is ticking. Each year, the chances of uncovering one in your own collection get smaller. But for those who do find it, the payoff can be extraordinary. So here's the takeaway. Tonight, when you get home, pull out that change. JAR. Dig through that old shoebox of coins in the closet. Ask your parents or grandparents if they have proof sets from the early 70s. You might just discover that your next vacation, your dream car, or even your financial freedom is hiding in a penny you've overlooked for years. If this story lit a spark in you, there's more where it came from. Subscribe for more insider tips on spotting rare coins that can turn spare change into serious wealth. Because the next big coin find could be in your hands right now, but only if you know where to look. You're holding a simple penny in your hand, the kind you might toss in a jar or drop on the counter without a second thought. But what if I told you that this little coin could be worth more than most people's homes? We're talking up to $807,000 for a single 1-cent piece. It's real, it's out there, and chances are, you've already had one pass through your fingers without even knowing it. Most people think the only way to get rich is through years of hard work, saving, and sacrifice. But the truth is, wealth sometimes hides in plain sight, and the 1975 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny is one of the most shocking examples. At first glance, it's just a brown coin. Common, ordinary, forgettable, but that's the trick. The real treasures are often hiding where no one thinks to look. So why this penny? Why 1975? And what is it about that tiny D under the date that sends collectors into a frenzy? To understand, we have to travel back to the mid-1970s, a time when gas was cheap, music was raw, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies a year. The Denver Mint, identified by that small D, struck countless coins in 1975. Most were perfectly ordinary, but a very few, came out with differences so rare that decades later, they've become the stuff of legend. And here's the first twist. It's not just the date or the mint mark that matters. It's the errors, the tiny imperfections. Strikes slightly off-center. Doubled dies where the lettering looks faintly shadowed or doubled. Even unusual coloring from planchette mistakes. To an untrained eye, these flaws might look like damage. But to collectors, they're gold. Literally, in some cases, because the price they're willing to pay for one is life-changing. You might be wondering, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare pennies? Start with the basics. Look at the date. Make sure it's 1975. Look just below the date for the D mint mark. Then study the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. Does anything look doubled, blurry, or misaligned? Next, check Lincoln's bust. Are there unusual ridges, missing details, or strange shadows? Finally, flip it over and inspect the Lincoln Memorial. Any uneven strikes or extra lines where they shouldn't be? If you see something odd, it might just be your ticket to a windfall. Here's the cliffhanger. The highest valued 1975 D penny didn't look shiny or perfect. In fact, it looked a little worn, like it had been in circulation for years. But it had one incredibly rare mint error, and that made all the difference. We'll get to that in just a moment. Now, let's talk about why this coin is so valuable. In the first place, rarity and demand drive price in the coin market. Billions of 1975 pennies exist, but era coins with strong visual differences are often unique or nearly unique. Combine that with a surge of interest from serious collectors and investors, and the price skyrockets. Add in the nostalgia factor for Americans who grew up in the 70s, and suddenly, even a penny becomes a prized piece of history. In 2023, one of these rare 1975 D-era pennies sold at auction for an unbelievable sum of over $800,000. Think about that. Someone paid more than $750,000 for a coin most people would leave in a tip jar. The buyer wasn't just paying for metal, they were paying for rarity, history, and the thrill of owning something almost no one else on Earth has. Experts warn that these opportunities don't last forever. Once the few surviving coins are snapped up by collectors, the rest are locked away in private collections for decades, maybe forever. That's why every coin in your pocket or change jar deserves a second look. It's a race against time, because for every rare penny found, the number left in circulation drops even lower. So, here's your moment. Tonight, grab that jar of change, dump it out on the table. Check each penny from 1975, especially those with the Denver D mint mark. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. You never know which coin could change your life in an instant. And when you find something that looks promising, take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it for grading. One small decision today could turn a forgotten penny into a family fortune. Remember, most people will keep walking past opportunities their entire lives. But you're not most people. You know the secret now. And the next time you hear that faint jingle of coins in your pocket, you might just be holding a piece of history worth more than you ever imagined. Check your change. Treasure hides in plain sight. And subscribe so you never miss another chance to turn the coins you already own into the lifestyle you've always wanted. Same copper color, same familiar Lincoln face. You might toss it into a jar or slide it across a counter without thinking twice. But what if I told you one of those ordinary-looking pennies could be worth more than most houses in America? And right now, people have sold this exact coin for up to $804,000. The scary part is most people never even realize they have it until it is too late. This is the 1987 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it is nothing special. That is exactly why it slips past so many eyes and into the shadows of pocket change drawers. Somewhere right now, a coin worth a life-changing amount of money might be sitting in a dusty coffee can in your garage. The question is, will you find it before someone else does? To understand why this penny is so valuable, we need to go back to the year 1987. The United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents. Every coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint carried no mint mark at all, which was normal for that facility at the time. So if no mint mark is normal, what makes this one different? The difference lies in a rare combination of production quirks, pristine preservation, and in some cases, subtle striking errors that escaped quality control. Coins that survived without scratches, with a perfect shine, and with razor-sharp detail, are the ones collectors are chasing. Here is where it gets tricky. The average person might pick up a 1987 penny, notice there is no mint mark under the date, and think nothing of it. That is why so many of these treasures go unnoticed. But coin experts know how to spot clues. The most valuable examples are often graded at the highest levels by professional services, meaning they have no visible wear even under magnification. Some have unusual die characteristics like doubled letters or slight off-center strikes. These tiny imperfections are like fingerprints that prove rarity. Now here is the cliffhanger. There are still reports of uncirculated rolls of 1987 pennies being found in old bank boxes and safety deposit vaults. Just imagine opening a forgotten roll and discovering multiple coins that could each fetch thousands or even hundreds of thousands at auction. If that thought does not make you want to check every coin in your house tonight, I do not know what will. So how does a small copper-colored disc end up commanding a fortune at auction? The answer lies in demand and scarcity. Wealthy collectors and investment buyers are willing to pay staggering amounts for coins that complete their sets in top condition. In one famous case, a flawless 1987 no mint mark penny graded at the highest possible level stunned the coin world when it sold for over $800,000. The bidding war was intense. Phones were ringing. People in the room were on the edge of their seats. It was not just about owning a coin. It was about owning a piece of American history that almost no one else could have. Recent auction records show that even coins in slightly lower grades can sell for thousands. Experts warn that as more collectors realize how rare top-grade examples are, the prices could climb even higher. And remember, these coins are not sitting in museums. They are hiding in plain sight. In jars, in dresser drawers, in the loose change you hand to a cashier. So here is your reality check. Every day that passes is another day someone else could find the coin you could have had. The opportunity is real. The wealth is real, but only for those who take the time to look. Go through your change tonight, search every penny, learn the details, spot the rare features, and do not let a fortune slip through your fingers. Because somewhere out there, that life-changing no mint mark Lincoln penny is waiting for its next owner. It might as well be you. If you want more insider tips on turning pocket change into serious profit, make sure you stay connected here. Your next big find could be just one coin away. Just an ordinary coin. Something you might toss into a jar without thinking twice. Now imagine that penny being worth not just a few cents, not even a few $100s, but up to $800,000. Yes, you heard that right, eh? Single penny that could change your financial life overnight. And the most shocking part is that millions of people have handled it without even realizing its value. Some have spent it on a pack of gum. Others have lost it between couch cushions. This is the mystery of the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln cent. So, why is this penny so valuable, and how could one be hiding in your change right now? The truth is, most people walk past small fortunes every single day without knowing it. The coins we barely glance at could hold secrets that turn everyday folks into millionaires. And this coin, the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln cent, is one of the most exciting examples of that hidden wealth. Before you start thinking this is just another rare coin story, listen closely, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what makes this coin so rare, how to spot it, and why time might be running out to find one. Let's go back to the beginning. The Lincoln cent has been part of American life since 1909. In 1994, the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of them. Most came from the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco mints. Normally, Philadelphia coins have no mint mark. Denver coins carry a small d, and San Francisco coins a small s. But here is where the story takes a twist. In a rare error, some 1994 cents were struck with missing details or unusual die characteristics, making them incredibly valuable. This no mint mark coin might seem ordinary at first glance. It still has the classic Lincoln portrait on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But experts have identified subtle features that separate the rare variety from the common one. Tiny differences in the lettering, faint doubling in the date, sharper or weaker details in Lincoln's hair, and in some cases, a unique die crack or flaw. These are the clues that separate a penny worth 1 cent from one worth hundreds of thousands. Here's where it gets tricky. Not every 1994 penny without a mint mark is valuable. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions that are just common pocket change. The real treasures are the ones with specific error types like dramatic die breaks, off-center strikes, or extreme doubling. And because these flaws happen randomly and in very limited runs, spotting one is like winning the coin. Collecting lottery. You might already own one without knowing it. Imagine this. You're sorting through a handful of pennies from an old coffee can. They all look the same. Dull copper tones, worn edges. Then you notice something slightly odd about the date or the way the letters look. That tiny detail could be the difference between keeping an ordinary penny and holding a life-changing treasure. Now here's the cliffhanger. One of these coins recently shocked the numismatic world when it sold for a staggering price, sending collectors scrambling to check their own jars of change. I'll tell you about that sale in just a moment, but first, let's talk about why these coins have skyrocketed in value. The value comes from a perfect storm of factors: extreme rarity, strong demand from collectors, and the fact that so few high-grade examples survive today. Coins in mint state condition, meaning they look almost brand new, can fetch the highest prices. Even well-circulated examples with the right errors can still be worth thousands. The difference between a coin worth $1 and one worth 6 figures often comes down to its condition and the clarity of the error. Now for that record breaker. In a recent auction, a pristine 1994 no mint mark Lincoln cent with a dramatic error sold for close to $800,000. It wasn't gold, it wasn't silver, just a humble penny. The kind you might have in your car's cup holder right now. Experts say this surge in value isn't slowing down, with more collectors entering the market and fewer coins turning up in circulation. The potential for these coins to rise even higher is real. So, how do you check your own coins? Start with any 1994 pennies that have no mint mark. Look closely under good lighting. A magnifying glass helps. Check for unusual doubling in the date or lettering. Look for die cracks, off-center strikes, or anything that seems out of place. If you spot something that matches known error varieties, set it aside immediately. The next step is getting it professionally graded and authenticated. That's the only way to unlock its true market value. One last thing, coins like this often pass through generations unnoticed. Old jars in attics, rolls of coins from banks, even spare change in a desk drawer could hide one. Every day that goes by, more of these coins disappear into private collections forever. The chance to find one is still there, but it won't last forever. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight when you get home, open that coin jar. Go through every penny. Imagine the thrill of discovering a small piece of metal that could be worth more than most cars. Do not let this opportunity slip through your fingers. If you want more tips on finding and selling rare coins for top dollar, make sure you follow along. Your next coin could be your ticket to a wealthier life. And it might be sitting in your pocket right now.